Pixie powder, mica pigments, magicals, pixie sparkles, color and pixie burst, they are all the same or similar. They all contain the shiny and shimmery mica powder. Today I want to show you some of the coolest ways to use them, so let's get to it. Today I'm going to work with mica powders, and mica powders go by many names. A lot of brands have them, and I'm going to use Pixie powders by Cosmic Shimmer. Here I have the old package and the new package, and they are still both around. I like the Pixie powders because they have multiple colors inside one bottle, so you get those really interesting color variations and color combos within one color, which is totally cool. And then I'm also going to use the Pixie Sparkles. Pixie Sparkles differ a little bit from the Pixie powders because they have some added sparkle. Besides that the gorgeous shine from the mica powder, you get some extra sparkle as well. And I will show you the difference between the two as well. Another mica powder that I really like are the Nuvo Shimmer powders. They have some really awesome color combos as well. The only thing is that they are a little bit less easy to come by. So for that reason, I prefer using the Pixie powders. So without any further ado, let's just get started with the first technique. First I'm going to spray my card on back and front with a little bit of water so it stays nice and flat, so it doesn't warp. And then I'm going to add my Pixie powders. I'm going to tap on the bottom of the bottle, don't squeeze it because a lot will come out and you get a lot of color that you don't need. So that's a complete waste of product, and well, in the worst case it makes you sneeze as well. So I've added the powder, and then I'm going to spray some more water, and then you can see the reaction of that Pixie powder and the Pixie sparkles, and it's really cool because you can see it react straight away, giving you that burst of color. And then I'm going to use a technique that I like using. I'm going to add some coarse sea salt. And this is really cool because the salt is going to like slurp up some of that color, and it's going to give you a really gorgeous texture in a very simple way. Just sprinkle on some salt and you can decide where you want the texture or not. And you will see what I mean after drying. I'm just going to spread it all over the background because I really love the look the texture gives with the salt. So I'm adding a little bit more of the powder and I'm spraying a little bit more water. I've added my card to the makeup station. Could have started on that from the start, which would have been easier. And then I'm going to put it aside to dry. Next I'm going to make some salt water, and I marked the bottle so I won't forget because you will not see it once the water and the salt is mixed. So I'm going to add some regular kitchen salt. This is the fine one because it dissolves easier in water or faster. And then I'm going to add this with a tiny spoon. Just add a few scoops of the salt so the water is nice and salty. Then turn on the cap and shake the bottle to help the salt dissolve, and then just wait for a bit as it will get clear again after a while. And then it's ready to use. And what on earth are you going to do with that salt, Gerry? Well, let me just show you. So I'm going to sprinkle on some Pixie powder from a bit of a distance so I get a nice dust on my card. And the pigments in these powders are so strong that you only need a little, so a little goes a long way. And now I'm going to do a little test so you can see the difference, because there is going to be a difference between regular water and salt water. I'm going to spray my salt water on the left, and I just spray a few times and you can already see that the color is pushed aside a little bit by that salt. And on the water side the color is blended a little bit more. So on the left side, the salt water side, you see a little bit more of the spider web kind of pattern appearing, and on the right side you get a bit more of a blended effect. And here you can see it even better, the saltwater side with that spider web look and the color that's pushed out by the salt water, and the more blended look on the right side with the regular water and the spray mist bottle. So there's a slight difference between regular water and salt water, and it's always great to have some different options. Here I have a different color combination. I'm using the salt water again and show it at a different angle so you can see it even better. Those color pigments are absorbed a little bit by the salt and they are pushed out, so they create a bit of that spider web effect. And once I'm done spraying, I'm just going to put those aside to dry as well. So here I have the results of 3 different ones. This is the mixed one with the salt water on this side and the regular water on that side. And you can see the difference with lots more texture here and way more of a blended look on the right side. This is the one I showed after that with salt water, which gives you some really incredible texture. And then here is another one in the same colors as the first one, and this is all with salt water, and you can see the texture and those bits where the color is pushed out and creating some really gorgeous and interesting texture. I really love the look, and it's another great option to have as well. For the next technique, I've added some powders to my desk and I spray some water just right beside them. And then I'm going to dip a brush in the water and mix it with one of the colors. And then I'm going to brush the color on my card from side to side. So left to right, right to left. And you can do this any way you like. You can go up and down or crisscross or whatever. I'm going for a bit of a water effect, so I'm going from side to side. I use some kitchen paper to pat it dry a little bit. And this will help to get some layers instead of blending. Because wet on wet is going to blend and wet on dry is going to layer more. Once it's a bit dry, then you can add a bit more texture, which is also another cool option. I'm going to use the heat tool to dry it a little bit more so I can add some more texture with the last color. And I'm going to add that in the same way, swiping left to right, right to left, adding a bit more of the stripes. And because I want some more of the dark color at the bottom, so it's going from a light to a darker one, I'm going to add a bit more powder and mix that and do the same. Swiping from left to right, pick up a bit of the color and adding a bit more. And this way you get some really gorgeous texture. And I really do love a good old bit of texture. And if you don't, then just go for the wet on wet, then you will get more of that blended look. And now I'm going to show you the difference between Pixie Sparkles and Pixie Powder. So the Pixie Powder has the color pigments with the mica, which will give you that gorgeous shine. And the Pixie Sparkles have the color pigments, they have the mica, and they have some added super fine sparkles, which is a really cool addition to those Pixie powders. And now we are back with the card with the salt, because that's dry now. Here you can see it from up close. And now I'm going to rub it off. You can use your finger like I'm doing. It's a bit of a not so nice feeling to your fingers. So I have another option later on. And I'm just going to remove it all, making a turning motion. And this will help you get rid of that salt. And once all the salt is off, you have a really interesting textured background. And you have a little pile of salt, and let's see what we can do with that. So here I have that colored salt and I added it to a card. You can put it in a bowl or whatever you want, or in a little bag. And I spray some regular water on my card, and then I'm going to sprinkle on some of that colored salt. Now those color pigments that are absorbed by the salt are going to be activated with water again. So this is such a cool option to try as well, because this will give you a twofer, and you know I love a good old twofer. And another really cool technique to try is this one. I have another card on my Make Art station this time, and I'm going to spray some water back and front so the card doesn't warp. And then I'm going to add some of those powders just by tapping on the bottom again. Don't squeeze. The same still applies, just don't squeeze. You don't want a lot, a little goes a long way. I want a bit more color for this technique, because then the effect is even cooler. Well, I think it's even cooler, but you can go with a little powder as well. I've used the regular water to spray it, and then I'm going to add a piece of plastic wrap. And this is really cool because you can get such a wonderful texture and such a wonderful effect by just adding a piece of plastic wrap. I'm just spreading it over the background. I'm dividing it a little bit with some stripes and a little bit of folds and creases, pushing it flat here and there, and just creating sort of a fun pattern. You can push it around if you want to. This you can push around any way you like. And after we did the colored salt cards, there's another option. And you can make your own colored salts just on purpose. So I have some coarse salt again. I have a piece of cardboard here with some plastic on it. I'm adding some piles of salt. And then I'm going to add some different colors here. I'm just tapping on some of the colors just on top of the heap. And then I'm going to spray some water, and look at that. Look at that really pretty color that salt is getting already. So I'm going to do that with all my 6 salt piles, adding some powder to add some color, and then spray some water to activate those color pigments. I'm just going to color all my little piles of salt, and once that's done, then I'm going to put the complete thing aside to dry. Put it in a safe place so you don't hang in it with your elbows, especially when you have long sleeves. And then we are back with the plastic wrap. Now the big reveal is always a super exciting moment. And look at that, isn't that pretty? Now the card isn't completely dry yet. I could already take off the plastic and, well, you can wait longer. I wasn't patient enough, but it's looking pretty already. And now we have another twofer option because there's still some Pixie powder on my plastic wrap. So I have a little card here. I'm going to spray some water on the plastic to activate that powder again. And then I'm going to spread my plastic wrap again on that card, making a fun pattern. And it won't be as bold as the previous card or the first card because there's less powder on it, of course. But for everyone who likes more subtle, this is a great technique as well. And once you have it on there, you can put it aside to dry as well. And after drying, oh my, this goes so fast. Here I have my card after drying, so it took about an hour or so, it doesn't take that long. And these are the 2 cards I got with my plastic wrap, and aren't they super cool? And they are both shiny, they have lots of texture, and, well, do I need to say anything, really? And now we have that plastic still, don't waste it, you can fold it or not fold it, whatever you want, and just put it aside because you can use that again. You can use that over and over, still good plastic, so no waste here. And no, we're not done yet because I have another technique, which is also another really cool one to try, and it's super easy as well. So I have some Pixie powders on my desk again. I spray a bit of water just right next to it, and I have a sponge with some big holes in it. And just a regular household sponge, nothing fancy or anything. And then I'm going to dip it in the water and then in the color. And then I'm going to, well, sort of stamp it on my background. And this is Stamping Without Stamps, really cool. It's a course completely about making texture or creating texture without any fancy tools, and you can get started right away because there are lots and lots of things and options that you already have at home, which I think is absolutely the best part. And this will give you such a gorgeous texture. It's very subtle, you can make it like crazy bold as well, adding more color just however you want it or just a little bit. This is a great technique to try, and it's super fun, and you can probably do it right away. Doesn't everybody have a sponge like that? Just cut it up in pieces. It's better to use for crafting than for cleaning, right? So I'm just filling up my background, and as usual, and I think this gives you some really cool texture. You can add a few flowers on top or just a sentiment, or, well, you can go any way you like it with this technique. And I'm not done yet because I have been cleaning my desk, so loads and loads of wet wipes with some gorgeous color on it, and you can use them to make a colored background. Now this one doesn't have that much color on it, as you can see. You can just wipe over the background and that will work just fine. But I'm just adding a little bit more color on my desk, picking that up with the wet wipe, and then sort of wiping it over my background, adding my texture here and there. I don't add too much pressure to the wet wipe, and I can just pick the places where I want my texture to be more bold or a little bit less, or maybe add a little bit more color layers here and there. And I'm making these fun stripes again. You can also make a turning motion. Just make sure you don't press too hard with the wet wipe so you don't damage your paper. Or you can also use a watercolor paper which can handle a little bit more pressure. And here we are back with the second take on the salt card again. And now I have a plastic card, and then I'm just using that to scrape off the salt, which is way more pleasant for your fingers. Now the salt, you can reuse that again. Just use it to add some color, or use it in a shaker card, or maybe even a little bit of color will come off again for like a super subtle background. You don't have to throw it out, you can just reuse it, which is always a cool thing. And here are the two salt cards together. I really love them. And then I'm back with my salt piles, and they are almost dry now, and you can break it up again into little pieces once it's completely dry. And with this color salt you can make some really cool backgrounds, or you can use it in a shaker card, or you can use it in a different way that I will show you in the next video. Another way you can use your mica powders is to make some splats, because it's a paint. You can mix it with water so you can make it fluid, and then you can dip in your brush and tap on it. And just tap on it over a card or over any other project, and then just let them sit and dry, or you can blot if you want to. I just let them dry this way, and this is the result you get. Some really gorgeous shiny splats. And the mica powders give you another option because they react to water. So I'm just going to add some water drops. Here you can see them up close. And then I'm going to use a piece of kitchen paper to pat it dry, and there you have some really bright spots, which is super cool. And instead of making some splats, you can also use your brush to add some tiny dots, just with the tip of the brush and some water, and just add some dots on purpose in a particular place where you want them. And then just do the same, just blot with kitchen paper or a piece of cloth, and there you have some really pretty bubbles. And you can totally use this with like say a seahorse, for instance. And when you are still here, I have another fun technique to show you with basically no tools at all. And you only need some Pixie powder or other mica powders. Just add them to your desk and spray some water, and then dip in your paper. And this will give you a really pretty multicolor background. Or you can also use just one color, that will work as well. And you can just put that aside to dry. And this is what it looks like after drying. And I have another cool technique to share. Add some powder to your desk again and spray some water, and then dip in the brush and then make a nice thick line in the middle. And I was a bit wimpy with the color in the beginning, but you can be quite brave with adding color in the middle. And then I'm going to spray some water and let the color drip down. And I'm going to do the same again. Add some more of that color mix and spray some water and let it drip down the other side. And I'm just going to let gravity do its thing, but you can also use a brush to help it along. Then I'm going to add some more Pixie powder in the middle of the card, and I'm going to spray some water so I can get rid of those harsh lines that were there in the middle. I'm using a blue over the purple, which is always a great color combination. And then I'm just going to spray some more water and just let it flow to both sides. And this is the background after drying, and this will give you another really cool option to try for yourself. And let's not forget that you can also make your own mica spray or sparkle spray or shimmer spray. And all you need is an empty bottle and some water, some mica powder, of course, Pixie powder, or like the Nuvo shimmer powder I have here. Add some in the bottle, then add some water, and then add the spray cap back on top, and then shake it. Not the other way around. And then you can just start spraying. Basically, that's it. It's that simple. And because you have mica in your spray bottle, the nozzle can get clogged. So you know I warned you about that, so don't come complaining to me. When that happens, just clean it after you use it and you will be fine anyway. But this is another great way to use those mica powders and have more options with just one product. Now how about it? Are you all in a shiny and shimmery mood? Don't let me keep you, have loads of fun. And when you want some more ideas or you're just in a binge watch mood, here's some more for you to check out. And as always, make sure to keep on crafting.